Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Saints had the fourth day of OTAs on Tuesday. Dennis Allen met with reporters afterwards, and the most newsworthy item was some disappointing news for Saints defensive end Tanoh Kpassagnon.
No, Tanoh tore his Achilles in the offseason, so he's going to be out for a little while, and so he won't be ready for training camp, and then we'll see how long that takes for him to recover.
You always worry about an Achilles because it's such an important, a critical injury for explosive players. A lot of times, see basketball players have the Achilles injury and never come back and actually be themselves again. Then there's times where a guy like Kevin Durant tore his Achilles and is still going on to be an MVP caliber player. The one that always stands out to me the most was Sheldon Rankins. When Sheldon Rankins in that 2018 postseason tore his Achilles and was back for the start of the next season and looked like he didn't miss a beat. So, yeah, I mean, there are young athletic dudes who come back from that and go on to have a great career. So we'll see what this means for Tanoh. But the thing Dennis Allen was pretty clear about there is Tanoh's not going to be ready for training camp. And the thing about Tanoh Kpassagnon when the Saints brought him in from Kansas City is that the first year he was in New Orleans, he had some injury issues, had the ankle injury, missed about half the season. But since then, Tanoh Kpassagnon has been really reliable. In 22, he played in 15 games. This past year, played in all 17 games for New Orleans. And he's been a consistent rotation piece where you've got Cam Jordan on one side and Carl Granderson, who they paid and had a breakout year last year. I mean, Granderson had 78 tackles, which was third on the team, behind only the two linebackers, Demario Davis and Pete Werner. I mean, Carl Granderson was awesome last year. 8.5 sacks, 14 TFLs. So Cam Jordan, Carl Granderson are your starting tandem, and you know that. And so you look at the rotation piece, and Tanoh was part of that, may still be, but you bring in Chase Young this year, and so you really feel like if you're looking at a four-man rotation at defensive end, Cam Jordan, Carl Granderson are your known starters, and Cam I do throw up there with a little bit of a question mark because Cam Jordan is coming off the least productive year of his career since his rookie season. And it may just be that we've waited for that time where we were going to start to see Cam's inevitable decline, as every great player has as they age. And maybe it's now. Or maybe with Granderson and bringing in Chase Young, they have a better rotation and there's less pressure on him. Maybe it provides more flexibility, kick him inside. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe it's just the fact that you're talking about a guy moving toward his mid-30s that's just near the end of his career and is showing it. But if Jordan and Granderson are your first two and Chase Young is going to be part of that rotation we fully expect, the real question is who else is there? And this is one of the exciting position battles to watch in camp, that Tanoh Kpassagnon's injury really sets him back because I don't think he's a lock to make the team now. Because when you look at it, you've got Isaiah Foskey, who you used a second-round pick on. Now, Foskey was a healthy scratch for a bulk of last year, but you invested enough capital in him to where you're going to give him a shot. You got Foskey, you got Payton Turner, who this is the final year of his rookie contract, former first-round draft pick. This is literally his contract year. It is a make or break for Payton Turner now. And I don't have great confidence in Payton Turner. I believe we know what he is at this point. But there's two players that you invested a ton of draft capital on, a first-round pick and a high second-round pick on Turner and Foskey, respectively, trying to earn a roster spot. And then Tanoh is injured and is not going to be there for training camp. And then you look at guys like Nico Lalos, Trajan Jeffcoat, who the Saints signed as an undrafted free agent who spent his career at Missouri and Arkansas. We had on the show a few weeks back, who I think is a perfect fit for this Saints defense. Now, you got an uphill climb to make the team as an undrafted free agent. And then there's Nate Latu as well. So you got some of these young guys that are also trying to earn a roster spot. if Tanoh Kpassagnon was healthy, I could very easily look and go, all right, well, you got Cam, Granderson, Chase Young, Tanoh, and then maybe one of the other draft picks if it's Foskey or Turner, however it may be. But you're at the point now with Payton Turner where you may just have to cut him. Like, you're not going to, it's year 4. If he's not going to be a viable option, you have better players. You've given him enough time. You didn't exercise his 5th-year option, nor should you have. But I don't think it's a given for Payton Turner. So I think the door is open, and maybe even more so now with Tanoh Kpassagnon's injury for one of those young guys, maybe to step up and win a job on this roster. So I think, if nothing else, the interest and the curiosity, the opportunity around defensive end in camp has ratcheted up because there's a spot now due to Tanoh Kpassagnon injury. And speaking of that spot, one of the things that Dennis Allen was asked about was Carl Granderson. I just ran through it. Think about that. From the defensive end spot, Carl Granderson had 78 tackles. Again, your leading tacklers were Demario Davis, Pete Werner, and then the third leading tackler was Carl Granderson, more even than Tyrann Mathieu. Paulson Adebo was 4th, and then you got to go to Alontae Taylor, Tyron, Colin Saunders, Nathan Shepard, Lattimore. Cam Jordan with 43 tackles was next among the defensive ends. Granderson had 78 stops. He was awesome last year. So how do you go from that career year and build on it? That's what DA was asked on Tuesday.
I don't think we need to focus so much on what's the next step. It's just continuing through the process, and if you continue through the process and do the things that we're asking you to do, just by the nature of that work, you're going to improve. And so I think really for Carl, it's just keep coming out here and keep working on your craft and keep doing all the things that allowed you to have a jump in production. It was because of the way you worked. It was because of the way you practiced. It was because of the way you met. I think that's where the focus is, and I think if he does that through experience, naturally he's going to get better.
For all the, I believe, the just due criticism that I and others have levied on Dennis Allen, the head coach, which I believe is warranted, for all the reasons we've talked about for literally years now. The 180 of that, which is also true, is that Dennis Allen deserves praise as the defensive coordinator, because for as long as he has been in New Orleans, the Saints have been steady on defense because of him. He's a very good NFL defensive mind. You can be a great defensive coordinator and not be a good head coach, and I think that's what we have with Dennis Allen here. But one of the interesting things, though, is to see how DA and this defensive staff work on different alignments and looks. For example, do we see more of Cam Jordan play an interior position as a really good run stuffer, but to get extra pass rushers on the field? The same is also true if you look at potential 3 linebacker looks. You've got Demario Davis and Pete Werner, but you add Willie Gay, again, who signed a 1-year deal, and this is a big-time prove-it year for Willie Gay at a time where you're looking at linebacker and saying, okay, well, how much longer will Demario Davis play at this level? Do we extend Pete Werner, or is he a guy that moves on in free agency? Well, how you use the 3 of them potentially on the field at the same time is really interesting. That's something Dennis Allen was asked about on Tuesday as well.
Here's the reality, we don't necessarily control that, on defense all the time. A lot of what we do is dictated on the personnel that the offense is putting out on the field. And so the more athletic they get and the more fast players they put out on the field, typically we play a matchup type of game. And so, I think we'll have to see as we, go through training camp, we get a little bit better feel for all the things that Willie can actually do. And then we'll evaluate, how we want to deploy our guys based on what the offense is doing.
Demario Davis had 121 tackles last year, and Pete Werner had 93. So you had 2 very productive linebackers. In Kansas City last year, Willie Gay had 44 solo stops for the Chiefs a year ago and 58 total tackles. So roughly half of the production of Demario Davis. So can you see that ratchet up? He's had a better year. Look, 2022 for the Chiefs, Willie Gay had 88 tackles. He went in his career, he went from 39 to 48 to 88 tackles, and then last year 58. You saw the production drop, and then he moved on in free agency. So can the Saints find a way to get some of that production back from Willie Gay amid that linebacker room. I think you're undeniably better. You're deeper. You're better at linebacker this year. I think Willie Gay is going to be part of that. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.